are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Big 12 standings this week. 6-2 Oklahoma State, 6-2 Oklahoma, 6-2 Kansas State, 5-3 West Virginia, 5-3 Iowa State, 5-3 Texas Tech are all in contention for a Big 12 championship, as well as the 7-1 Texas Longhorns. There is a way to have Texas and OU play a rematch of the Red River rivalry in the championship game, but it's a tough way to get there.
Tough ask.
One of the big things that's needed this week by everybody involved is for Texas to lose to Texas Tech, for the Longhorns to somehow find a way to lose to the Red Raiders. Because I don't think the Red Raiders can find a way to beat Texas. Texas is going to have to beat itself in this game. Do you think Joey McGuire can get it done?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not going to bet on it, but yeah. I think they can.
Why?
I think they're undefeated this year in games that Baron Morton starts and finishes, which is kind of a weird stat. I just think, and honestly, it's not a great football take, but we've seen Texas fumble the bag before.
Yep.
And even if they lose, they're still probably in, but they've fumbled the bag before. And Tech is playing with the ultimate motivation of having the whole hateful eight around them.
Yeah.
The Brett Yormark comments at the beginning of the season.
And possibly going to the Big 12 championship.
And still with a chance to go to the Big 12 championship game. And so to me, when there is a game that needs ultimate motivation, which Tech has not had very many the last 2 years, have been good, good team. 8 wins last year, potentially still on the table for 8 wins this year. But when they need the ultimate motivation, I like having Joey McGuire in the locker room.
I agree.
I do. The guy, call it old school, call it stupid and non-analytical, but he gets people ready to play. And the game we saw this year of what does he need ultimate motivation for, the 2 ones that we saw last week against UCF to go bowl eligible, it's tight, but they win the game. And the other one is, guys, these fellas down in Waco didn't want me.
Yeah.
We're going into their house tonight. And they're going to be fired up, and they just took it to Baylor. Just kicked the crap out of them. So I like games where he is motivating the team, and they need the motivation.
Rousing. Thank you, my friend.
And plus, I just really want it to happen.
Yeah,
I think that's more than anything.
Me.
I just really want it to happen. Now, the downside of this is not only is Texas a top 10 team and a team playing at home and a chance to go to the conference championship game for the first time since 2018.
Yeah.
But also the biggest thing against Texas Tech. You know who's a big Tech fan? Ward Whites. Ward Whites.
I was going to say Ted Cruz.
He might be this week.
Who has about the
Ward
same
Whites.
effect as Ward Whites, it seems.
Which is not a good sign for Tech. Yeah.
Yep. Are you worried about Texas for the Longhorn fans that are listening today? Are you worried about Texas because they gave up 330 passing yards to a guy named Rocco Becht at Iowa State? Now, Iowa State's never been known for a team that slings it around the yard.
Yes, because it's a similar passing offense, a passing attack, and he's a similar quarterback to Baron Morton.
Yeah.
So I think, look, stopping Taj Brooks is going to be enough of an issue this week if you're Texas. But if you're going to let them throw the ball all over the yard against you, yeah, that's going to be tough. And I think it's going to be also tough for Texas to establish their run on the other side. And we saw some of the struggles of that last week against Iowa State. Quinn Ewers is a great quarterback when the threat of the run is there. And without Jonathan Brooks, it's a lot tougher, and this is a good Tech front. It's not a great overall defense. It's a very good front for Tech that's been stout against the run this year.
Now, you want to know what's kind of bad, though? C.J. Baxter for Texas, their backup running back, is similar production to Jonathan Brooks. He was plug and play last week, and the Longhorns only allowed 9 rushing yards to Iowa State. So
yeah, that's tough. But Rocco could throw it.
Maybe Tech tries to air it out. That's where they go with this week. Otherwise, there's not much
which is not
chance.
necessarily their forte, but I like when Kitley gets into his passing bag.
Yeah.
Which he did at the end of the game against UCF. He did it again in that Baylor game early on where they had some nice creative pass plays. Doesn't take much against Baylor, obviously, but had some nice creative pass plays that got them up 14-0 in that game. So I don't mind Kitley having to go to it, but you're right. You're right. If Tech doesn't establish the run, they struggle a lot more.
Yeah.
Struggle a lot more. It's kind of like what we talked about with Baylor basketball last year. It doesn't need to be all your points, but you need to get something in the paint. You know, it doesn't need to be your whole offense if you're Texas Tech, but you got to have some threat of a run game, and that's been easy with Taj Brooks this year. I think Taj Brooks is probably the best running back Texas has played this year. Would I be wrong in saying that?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
but you think Dawson Pendergrass?
I do think Dawson Pendergrass gave them more of a run for their money than they expected. They played Bama. You know, they had
who's their running back?
They played Devin Neal, Kansas. Devin Neal's pretty good. Kansas State, DJ Giddens, solid. But yeah, I guess
DJ Giddens would be the next best for me.
Outside of that, Devin Neal. I would go get Devin Neal, Kansas. What's Rice running back look like this year?
Ooh, good question. Have they made a bowl game yet, Rice?
Oh, they're 1 win away.
I think they're this week. I think they're one. Yeah.
Beatrice.
How about that, dude?
Beatrice.
How about that?
Beatrice. I was on the Mosley show when Beatrice happened. UCF's poster of #BeatRice that just spelled Beatrice. And
That's beautiful.
When I brought it up to Matt on the show, he's like, I don't think I get it. It's like, all right, Matt, never mind. I'll explain it later.
Matt.
TCU at Oklahoma this week. What do you think?
Oklahoma.
Are you sure? We just saw Josh Hoover.
Both have a lot to play for.
Eat up the Baylor Bears.
Yes, so would I. I'm picking Oklahoma at home.
All right, Oklahoma against TCU. Cam's going with OU.
Don't overthink it.
I think TCU makes it closer than the 10-point spread. I think they make it closer than the 10-point spread. Texas Tech and Texas. We just gave me the rundown, but I need you to pick the game.
Screw it. Tech.
Joey M? JM?
Joey. Cedar Hill Longhorn beats the Longhorns.
Texas is favored by 14. The Longhorns win. They win by 10. 34.
But you like that 14-point action?
31.
You like that spread?
Yeah, I like 14. I'll take Texas Tech plus 14, but the Longhorns win it. Houston at UCF in a game that I know you're excited about.
Oh, boy.
This would get
UCF
on
ESPN Plus?
Bowl eligibility, by the way, on FS1.
And Houston just got knocked out yesterday or last week out of bowl contention, right?
They're going to finish 4-8. They're going to lose this game by a lot.
Yeah, I think UCF's going to win.
Yeah.
JRP.
John Rice Plumlee. Old friend,
that's what it stands for, baby.
Old buddy of mine from high school. How about BYU? 17-point dogs, BYU, against an Oklahoma State team that kind of struggled with Houston, lost in a blowout to UCF. Oklahoma State is at home. 17-point favorites.
Is bad. BYU is bad.
They are now. They're 5-6.
Look at those defensive numbers. They actually have worse defensive numbers than Baylor.
Ooh. They're fighting for bowl eligibility.
They're fighting for that, which is something that you got to take into consideration. But Oklahoma State is fighting for a chance to play in the Big 12 championship game.
Yep.
And Big 12 referees also probably don't want Texas and Oklahoma. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Get ahead of it. I have Oklahoma State in this one.
If you think,
and I think BYU puts up a fight like they did last week against Oklahoma. Put up a fight. But I think Oklahoma State is better, and they can run the football well against the worst overall rushing team if you combine their rushing yards versus rushing yards allowed per game, the conference of BYU, which is somehow worse than Baylor.
Yeah.
I like Ollie Gordon.
So
I'm playing high school.
Think that Baylor's season has gone poorly. The only way I could imagine it worse is if there was hope. If Baylor had started 4-0 and finished 4-8, which is kind of what BYU's on the way to doing.
Yeah.
They beat Arkansas on
once
the road.
They started getting to some real teams in the schedule.
Started 4-1, then 5-2. They were 5-2. They are now 5-6. Of their last 6 games, here are some of the scores from their losses: 44-11, 35-6, 37-7, 45-13. Then the outlier here being their 31-24 competitive loss to Oklahoma. That's bad.
It sounds like they struggled to score the football there, Drake.
Yes. They should
11, 6, 7, 13.
Maybe consider a change at offensive coordinator here before too long. That's Oklahoma State BYU.
Anyone who's had experience there?
No, No, not that I can think of.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, their current offensive coordinator is their first one of all time.
Just bring in Steve Young.
Kansas at Cincinnati. KU favored by 6.5.
Baby.
It's 3-8. Cincinnati 6.5 point favorite.
Does Kansas still have a shot at the conference championship game?
Nope, 4-4. They're out of it.
Okay, so this has to be the only one of two games in this conference that mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
That means Kansas is going to win comfortably.
Okay.
Running away. And the other one would be
UCF Houston, but you got Houston playing for
bowl eligibility.
UCF playing for bowl eligibility. So
yeah.
This is the only one that really means just truly nothing. It's the sleeper. Iowa State at Kansas State. This one is fun. Kansas State favored by 10.
Kansas State and the points for me.
Ooh. Iowa State.
I like Iowa State. I think they're a plucky team. I think Kansas State at this point in the season is just as good as an Oklahoma or an Oklahoma State. Top to bottom. They have not lived up to the expectations. I think they should be firmly in that conference championship game with the talent they have, and I think they're going to show it against Iowa State.
Yeah. To me, they are the best chance to beat Texas. Texas struggles
so
much against the pass, and Will Howard is one of the best quarterbacks in the Big 12, better than Allen Bowman.
They gave them an awesome game.
Yeah. I'm going to take Kansas State in this game, and I would like to see the Wildcats play in the Big 12 championship. It's our best hope at Texas not winning the Big 12 championship if you're that kind of maniac. Baylor hosts West
This would be the other one.
Virginia on Saturday, and it does matter because West Virginia can move to 6-3 and still be in Big 12 championship contention. And
I guess it does.
They will. West Virginia will move to 6-3 in Big 12 play and still be in title contention. They are favored by 8.5, and I think that is way too low. West Virginia is going to win this game by 24 points.
Oh, I was going to be a little nicer to Baylor, and I have West Virginia by 21.
Oh, okay, yeah. But
it could get quite out of hand like it did last
Doinks
week.
won, so it's not 24, it's 21.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the scores of
21?
dozens of fans in attendance. That's kind of what I was thinking. Baylor scores one late and makes it 42-21.
Baylor scores 21 points? Oh.
Yeah, they get some garbage time points.
I think
Sawyer Robertson this week. Sawyer Robertson.
We're going to see yet another very clunky score from Baylor because they keep doing the thing where, you know what? Screw
keep
it.
going for two.
We're
just
going for two. We're just going to go for two.
I love it though.
Baylor's
why not?
Some of the scores that Baylor's put up in games this year: 13, funky but not crazy. 30, that's a tough one to get to.
Not one you see often. Yeah.
36, that's a regular. 6, also not normal. 32 against Cincinnati. That one's a tough one to get. Tough to get to 32.
32-29 is a wild score.
Yep. Against Iowa State, they scored 18 points. Again, hard to do.
30-18.
Hard to do.
30-18. That's a wild one.
25 points against Kansas State. Baylor's they're running the game.
And they were so close, by the way, in that Tech game. They kicked a late field goal. That would have been 11.
Yeah, that's right. 39-11.
They had a field goal and then a touchdown 2-point conversion. It was 31-11 for a while.
Dave Aranda just pressed the button. You know what? F it. Go for 2. Like, Dave, the math doesn't work. I don't care.
Through almost the first half of the season, they led the nation in 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
That was surpassed. But they might have the most attempts.
One of the worst teams in the nation, too. Leads the nation in 2-point conversions.
Yeah. But now that we say 21 and 24, it's going to be 38. It's going to be 52-14 or something.